Now, as with the previous tutorial, okay, on materials, okay, there was some basic material assignment. Okay, so for this assignment, right, for this tutorial, we will do more advanced a layout of UVs. Okay, UVs is just a term instead of X and Y for the coordinate. They just label the term U and V. Okay, hence the term UVs. Okay, if you can take a look at your material editor. Okay, there's no UV assignment here, but if you take a look at the textures, okay, let's say if you just assign a sample checker texture, okay, just a simple checker texture, you can see that the U and V, okay, is actually a coordinate, okay, but given to materials, okay, per se. So U and V is just a coordinate, right? So we just label it as UVs. Now we don't want this. Okay, what we want is to make this cylinder into a Coke can, right? So in order for you to know how to assign the materials around, and of course the top lid and the bottom lid, what we need to do is to export, okay, a coordinate system. Okay, if I press F4, you can see that, okay, it's like painting inside these square boxes. Okay, in order, for example, the Coca-Cola, the C, you have to paint it here, right? Of course, if you just put a picture and assign it straight away, okay, let's say I just put a picture from here, just let you see what I mean. Okay, let's say this is my Coke can texture. Okay, and I put a Coke can picture which I've taken from the internet. Okay, I just put a bitmap, right? And because bitmap will ask me what picture I want, okay, I'll take from my picture, okay, which I got from the internet, right? So this picture, I make it show on my material, right? So of course this will be good for cylinder. Okay, I mean, just happens to be that this is a cylinder, but what happens if I want to assign this texture to a box, right? Assign this texture to a box, it doesn't work as well, right? It's not supposed to be assigned like that, right? So what we need to do is to tell 3D Max to assign it properly. Okay, for example, if I want to assign the top lid here, the one where you pull off the tab, okay, I also need to picture that, okay, in here. Okay, so what we need to do is to, okay, maybe just delete this first, okay, or I turn it off, right? And what I need to do is to assign, okay, let's say this is not a normal parametric object, okay, it's just a editable poly, okay, and maybe I do some extrusion to this, okay, a bevel maybe, okay, just to make it more realistic. Okay, so it looks more like a Coke can, right? So this is my Coke can. Okay, so notice if I click on the material editor now and enable the picture to be seen again, okay, you can see that, oh, now my object is not being labeled properly, or being assigned properly. So this is where we need to have UV assignments, right? So it's as simple as assigning a UV map modifier, right? So let me show you. Okay, under modifier list, okay, you put an unwrap UVW, okay, modifier, and straight away what you need to do is to click on edit, right? And this will bring up the edit UVs. Okay, I do not want to use this texture. Okay, I just put off first, remove. Okay, okay, what I want to do now, Okay, if to go through with you what is this UV or edit UVW window. Okay, it's quite intricate window by itself. Okay, you can see that you can move your UVs. Okay, these are UVs. It's not vertices, right? These dots are not vertices, but they are actually corresponding to the vertices around here, right? So if I take a look at this, imagine you put a picture of that Coca-Cola in here, okay, and you can actually see why it's like this. So now we need to actually assign it properly. What we need to do is to select faces. Okay, if you go to face subject mode and you select these faces, okay, you can see that whatever face you selected, you will see that, oh, this is actually corresponding to this part here, is corresponding to this part, okay, and so on and so forth. Right, so if you click on this, you notice that this is the top, okay, and this is the bottom. Okay, so what I need to do is to separate them out so that we can give this layout or the template into Photoshop. Okay, so what we need to do first is to actually select the faces. Okay, I'll go into my front view. Okay, and I select all the faces in between. Okay, of course I do not want to select the top faces. Okay, so I will not select these faces here. I'll deselect them. Okay, let me try a better way for this. Turn off my grid. Okay, try to select everything. Press Ctrl. Okay, try to select. Now the reason why I can't select this properly, okay, I actually wanted to select all these at the side. Okay, is to just change to the window crossing. So even if I'm not covering this whole face here when selecting, okay, it will still be selected. Okay, right now it's not being selected, so I click on window crossing. Okay, and so if I select it like this, okay, it will also be selected, and this is what I want. Okay, so right now this cylinder is actually being compressed into here. Okay, what I want to do is to make it wrap around. Okay, wrap around. Okay, let me bring back here. Okay, wrap around this side here. Okay, so what I need to do is to go back to the modifier and go to the bottom. Okay, and these are the options. Okay, how do you want to map your materials, okay, onto the object? Okay, you can use a planar, okay, which makes it it's like a square piece of paper, and you just map or you project something from the projector, and the paper will be just like that, right? And cylindrical is what we want. Okay, so I click on this. Okay, and you can see something. Okay, let me see what I did. Okay, so this is the problem. Okay, I need to actually ignore back face, okay, to be turned off, so that when I select my faces, okay, it will also select the faces at the back. Okay, right now it is not. Right, so now I make sure, okay, that it is selecting. Okay, so right now we can just reselect. Okay, and then this will make sure that, okay, it will select the whole round and not just that side here. Okay, let me turn off something, okay, so that you won't see the green lines. Okay, so you can see now I've only selecting, okay, the sides, okay, not the top or the bottom, right? So let me press F3 again. Okay, let me bring back my editor. Okay, I click on cylindrical. Okay, and I will move it down slightly. Okay, because this is the projection, right? So this is where the map will gonna be. So I just move it down to this area. okay, so that the map will correspond. And I do a quick preview, okay, by editing. Okay, pick a texture. Okay, so this is where the Coke picture will be. Okay, so right now it is not it does not have the top and bottom of the texture, right? So this is where we need to, okay, this is where we need to change it. Let me change to this first. Click this off. Okay, so you can see now the material texture. Okay, how is it being assigned? Okay, right now the site is okay. What I need to do is to actually resize it. Okay, now I will select the UVs, resize it. Okay, to make it smaller. To the other side, because we need to actually export this whole square into Photoshop later. So we make sure that everything must fit. Right, so just make it smaller. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, make sure I'm selecting the right thing. Okay, actually what I should do is to actually select this top here as well. So let me just select everything. Select the faces. Do a cylindrical, right? And then what I do is my perspective, and I deselect these faces at the top. You just deselect it. You just press Ctrl, deselect the bottom, and deselect the top. Okay, and I do a select inverse. Okay, select invert because I only want the top and bottom. Okay, we have already assigned the side to be properly assigned. So we will now do a planar. Okay, planar will assign the projection from the top and bottom. Okay, so I just click on planar, but before I do this, I need to assign a direction. Okay, so the direction is actually, if you look at the coordinate, it's a Z, right? So, okay, Z direction, we need to click on Z direction, right? And then I click planar. Okay, and you can see immediately, okay, that we have this projection here. So I'll move it away. Okay, sometimes you have trouble clicking moving things because you're still in the assigning mode. So I just click once again to tick it off. Now you can move it away. Right, so remember this is the square. The square is here. Okay, so what I need to do is to maybe scale it down a little bit. Okay, place it somewhere else. And then what I need to do with this, okay, is also to scale it down. Okay, just scale it slightly like this. And scale it on side. Okay, I want to scale it like that. Okay, the good thing about this assigning is because you can actually scale it to whatever you want. Okay, but the best is to fit everything inside this box. Okay, let me bring this back here. Okay, so it's a little big, so I just scale it down and select the other circle. Okay, you can see that this is actually the bottom, okay, because it's bigger. Okay, let me show you. Okay, it's bigger from here and then it's smaller, right? So this is actually the top. Okay, so we now complete the assignment of the coordinate. Okay, depending on what other models you have, let's say you have an aeroplane, what you need to do is to plan out. Okay, let's say the wings should be here, the cockpit should be here, right? So that is, you will make use of this face subobject mode, right? Make sure this is off when you try to move things inside the edit UVW window, right? So right now we actually complete the assignment. Okay, this UV assignment. What we need to do next is to export this picture into Photoshop, where we will draw out, okay, everything inside this template, right? Just imagine this to be a coloring book and you just color whatever is inside and then bring it back to 3D Max for assignment of texture, right? So before we do crossover to Photoshop, okay, we will go to tools, render UVW template. Okay, and I just want everything to be white, okay, because the lines are easier managed in Photoshop that way. Okay, so the size here is just nice for a high resolution picture. If you have a lower resolution picture, it's okay as long as it's meant for online. Okay, but if you're printing out, okay, I suggest you do a very high resolution. Okay, I'll do you don't have to worry about the rest. Just have to click on render UV template, and then this is what you get. Right, so it's actually very high res. Okay, 1024 by 1024. So you need to bring this picture into Photoshop just by saving it, and I'll save it as Cook UV. Okay, and then save it. Right, so next we'll open Photoshop and edit it there.